So hello, this is the first video in a series of videos. I'm going to be working on this guitar that I picked up. It's an Epiphone Les Paul Special 2 LE. Yeah, I got it off a friend of mine. He donated it to the cause, so we're going to change it into something else. Not quite sure yet, but today's video we're just going to take off all the hardware and maybe look at start stripping away some of this paint and varnish. So yeah, let's get on with that. So yeah, it's a nice little guitar, all gloss black. The first thing we need to do is start taking off the hardware, get rid of some strings, take the machine heads off. Then we need to disconnect all the electrics and remove the pickups and all of the stuff in the rear cavity. Also take off all the external hardware like the strap hooks. Seems to have some form of like plastic strap locks on there from the previous owner. So yeah, they'll come off when I undo it. Yep, take off all the machine heads. And then yeah. So yeah, let's get cracking. Right, so to do this, first things first, we're going to want a screwdriver. Always use the biggest screwdriver you can that will fit the, oh, that one's a bit busted. Like I was saying, always use the biggest screwdriver that will fit the screw head, and you will stop yourself from, you know, rounding off the screw. Right, now we've taken the strap locks off, we can chuck that in the bin. Right, next we will remove the strings. When removing strings, first thing you want to do is just release any tension that there are in the strings, so that when you cut them, oh, this one seems to be crap and it's just snapped on its own. But yeah, as I was saying, release any tension so that when you snip them, they don't jump back and smash you in the face. Right, so now we can get our wire cutters, and now that we've got loads of slack in all the strings, we haven't got to risk any of them jumping up and hitting us in the eye when we just simply clip them as so. Try and avoid touching the neck when you do this, because you don't want to unnecessarily scratch your fretboard. And again, try and do it in between the frets, so again you don't accidentally dink one of the frets. So with all Les Pauls, you tend to find a floating saddle bridge. Basically what that is the strings flow over the saddles here, and they are literally connected by this thing. But when you've cut your strings, you can simply pull that out. All the strings will stay connected to that, and then the saddle will just lift off as so. Then we can come up here and we can then start to unwind our strings from around our machine heads. Be careful, because this little bit here is very, very sharp, and if you stab that underneath your fingernail, you're gonna know about it. Best thing to do with these as well, just tie them up in a little loop like that and put them to one side. You can coil it over a couple of times, just like you're doing up a jack lead, you know. And just put that to one side, and then that's a lot easier to throw in the bin than a long string that's just going to stab the side of the bin bag and then get all your rubbish all over the floor. Again, stay aware of that because that's going to hurt you. So loop it up, put it off to the side. So we'll just repeat that with all of the machine heads. The top 3 strings, obviously, they're made differently and they're a lot sharper, so be extra careful when removing them. Obviously, stabbing yourself anywhere hurts, but if you've done it under the fingernail, you'll know what I'm talking about. With these ones that have snapped, they can be really tricky to take out, so just be really extra careful. Right, it's always handy as well to remember when you're removing things from a guitar, such as little strap buttons that can get lost pretty easily. Get yourself a little pot. Thanks to the wife, just sorted me out with these. Just so you can throw all of your little bits that you're working on for each individual guitar into its own pot. Try not to mix it up. I've got lots of other guitars floating around here with lots of other bits, and try not to mix them up because then it's a lot easier to remember what goes with what guitar. Now, I just want to show you something else quickly. These little strings, they can be really hard to kind of push in and out of the bridge or the saddle there. So what I always tend to do is get a bit of a bigger string and just put it through the back. Just try and poke that ball out. And then what you can do is just grab that ball and pull that thin string through. Right, so we've got our strings, our bridge and our saddle off, away in our lovely little box. We've removed our strap hooks. Next thing we need to do is have a Pepsi because I am parched. Look, anybody that doesn't already know me knows that I'm absolutely obsessed with Pepsi Max. I probably drink about 30 cans a day. So Pepsi, if you want to do me a little sponsorship, shout out. I've even got a little Pepsi tattoo on my leg. Zoom in on that. I love Pepsi Max. I promise you there's no paid advertising going on in this. Right, next, we're going to remove our machine heads. So, I haven't actually worked on an Epiphone before, and I was thinking that normally, when you have machine heads, or tuners you call them in America, this bit here is like a bolt that you unscrew, and then you pull this whole section out, and then the machine head will come free from the back. Whereas with this one, it has, as you can see, it's not a bolt, it's circular, there's nothing to kind of grip on. Yeah, so you just kind of unscrew them all from the back here. As you can see, there's 2 little screws per tuner, machine head, whatever you're going to call them. But yeah, let's take the rest of these machine heads off. Tuners, heads, machine heads, tuners, tuner heads, machine head, tuners, tuner head, machine, tuner, machine heads, tuners. Again, see that I'm using an absolute humongous screwdriver, but the tip of my screwdriver is going into the screw, so if it works, use it. Again, we're not going to forget to chuck all of our little screws into our pot so that we don't lose them. I say that, you tend to lose a lot of little screws. Right, so there's another machine head, it just slides out pretty easily. So with this bridge equipment, you tend to have like a bit that just unscrews, obviously, so you can raise and lower the height of your bridge depending on where your pickups sit and where you prefer to have them sitting. So yeah, we're just going to remove these. We'll add them to our little pot. Now these ones, they're the same, but they sometimes can be a bit tougher. But they do have like the older screw mark in the top. Let's get this one out. Let's try and get this fourth one out. Oh, this one's a bit tight. Like I said, just get a flat head, and yeah, you can hear it's a little bit of crusty in there. But it's cool because when we put it back in, we'll lube the threads up so they don't get horrid and rusty. So right, that's that in there. As I said, you're left with the thread holes. Sometimes you can get them out, but to be fair with this, I reckon I can get up to the paint. But we'll have to see. If worse comes to worse, I'll have to try and get them out. Right, so now that we've got the majority of our bridge equipment removed, we are going to flip the guitar over and remove the rear cavity cover, which will expose all of our electrics and whatnot. So it's got a very nice black Perspex cover, this. I actually quite like it. I'm probably going to keep this and reuse it in the next one, but I haven't actually decided what I'm going to do with this build yet. Oh, that's the wrong screwdriver. Yeah, I haven't actually decided what I'm going to do with this build yet, so depending on what the decision is, I will keep this cover or not. Right, so we're going to remove the 3 little screws, add them to our little pot. Get that off. There we go, there's our back plate. And then we have our rear cavity with all of our wiring in there. So as you can see, there's our switch and our 2 pots, potentiometers, quite nicely all clipped together. So what we want to do essentially is get everything from the pickup switches in these 2 black wires here. They come out of a little hole in the body there, and these little wires seem to be the grounding wires for the pickups as well, which get soldered onto the back of there. Look like we've got quite a lot of wire here to play with, so try and trim it down and make it a bit neater in there when we get back to doing it. But yeah, let's get all of this stuff unclipped and taken out. Right, so we are just going to come in with our clippers. First off, let's get rid of this here. We've got to try and cut this without cutting into the wire. Bang, done. That frees up our wire so we can actually see what's going on. Right, so we are connected to our switch, so there's our ground. So let's cut our ground wires first. Going to the switch, just try and cut them as close to the solder as you can to save as much of the wire as you can. And at the end of the day, if you do leave a little bit on there, it makes it sometimes easier to resolder to, because you've got a little bit there you can solder to, if you see what I mean. Right, that's one pickup unclipped from the switch. Let us now do the other one. It's quite finicky and you must be careful not to clip anything you don't want to clip. You don't want to cut any of the tabs on any of the potentiometers or the switch. If you do, then they are kind of screwed. With the ground wires on the top of the pots, I can just kind of cut them. It doesn't matter because they are nice and long. Right, that is the one going to our jack. So you want to cut our jack from our volume pot as well. We're quite lucky with this. It's quite simple. We've only got 2 humbuckers, 1 volume, 1 tone. So we just want the jack cable cut. Oh, it's dual line actually. Now I've got a lot of wire, so let's just chop it out. Done. There's our jack cable. That's out. There are pots connected to our switch, those 2 cables, and these are our cables for our pickups. So once these are all unplugged. They should just slide out. Okay, so we have disconnected our pickups, and we've also disconnected our jack around here. So now we can safely remove these, remove that, and it's not connected to any of this anymore. We are now going to remove our pickups. We're going to start off by removing the pickup surround plates that our pickups are connected to. Being careful not to lose any of our screws. That's one done. There's 4 screws per pickup surround. Now our pickup should come free. So luckily, most pickups they do say, but it's a bridge pickup. It's got a little B on there, so you know that that one's for the bridge. Second one, give it a little tug, and that comes out like that. Right, so your jack is here. First, we're going to have to find ourselves a 8mm spanner to remove this washer quickly. Okay, it seems I can't find my 8mm spanner, so I'm going to use a wrench. Quite lucky with this one because it's got a plastic plastic jack plate surrounding it, so I can just be quite lefty loosey, righty tighty. And now that should just come off like that. So here we have our knobs and our toggle switch to switch between our pickups when they exist. So first thing we want to do is remove the hardware from the top. So yeah, they do just pull off. Sometimes they can be a bit awkward. Oh, that one's come off pretty well. This here just has a little like threaded washer that you can just unscrew. All of this stuff can be done by hand, you know. Take the washers off, and then just remember to put all of that in there. We'll keep those out because we're going to reattach them to this once we've undone it. Now we've got the little 6mm spanner for that. So again, I can't find any of my spanners, so I'm going to have to resort to using this. So if I do make a scratch mark, it's not too much of a problem. Let's give them a little... I should be able to undo them now. And these two pop, will just pop out. Same with that, just pop out. And then we just remove them. Oh, everything's falling out. These little teeth on these little washers, they dig into the wood and stop it from spinning around when you're trying to turn it, if you know what I mean. So now we should be able to just remove our jack as well. It's very tight in there. Oh. There's a jack as well. And that is all of our wiring out, apart from our grounding. It goes to the bridge, so we're going to leave that in there because we need to have a grounding wire that grounds to the bridge. So when you upgrade a guitar, one of the things that kind of makes the difference, it's not always the wood, well, it's not kind of nothing to do with the wood really. It plays a little bit of a role in like the tone of the guitar, but mainly it is all about hardware. So little things like this, pulling these pots out, look at the size of them. They're absolutely tiny. I'd imagine they are 500k, however, I've looked all over it and I cannot actually find whether it says 500k or 250 on there. I think there might be a little 500 there, but anyway, they're crap. I'll probably keep the switch because it's just a standard switch. I do have others, so I might replace it. But yeah, these will more than likely go in the bin and I'll just replace these. Same with the pickups as well, Les Paul Speacial, whatever it is. They're kind of like entry-level Epiphone guitars, so these are going to be as good as you would probably get off of Amazon for 10 quid. So I will probably use my trusted favourite pickup company in the world, Tone Rider Pickups. Yeah, my favourite pickup company in the world. They're a British made company out of Essex. No, they sound amazing. So yeah, upgrade everything really. I might even upgrade the machine heads. Probably don't need to upgrade the bridge because that's pretty standard unless I want to change the colour of the hardware. There we go. Ugh, oh, it's glued. Oh no, it's sticky tape. Yeah, minging. I wonder how long that tape's been there. Right, yeah, so we're going to remove the neck. The way you do that is just 4 bolts on the back panel here. Try not to throw your guitar down too much. Right, so yeah, it's just 4 screws on the back here. They're probably quite beefy screws because they've got to hold the neck in place. See, one of the reasons we're going to take the neck off is because when working on a guitar, it's quite rough and tumble sometimes, and the neck is pretty much the most important part of a guitar, like keeping the truss rod straight and making sure that you're not warping it or anything like that. And that's quite easily done, as you see right now, just by the position that you may have the guitar resting while you're trying to undo a screw or something like that. So if you can, until you start working on it, keep the neck away from the body of the guitar until it's necessary to reattach it for setup. That's one. So basically what I'm going to be doing with these guitars is I am going to be regenerating old, cheap, shitty guitars and making them epic. My job, vocationally, I'm a tattoo artist, so I'm quite a creative, artistic guy. One thing I would like to do is turn guitars into playable works of art. I don't quite know what I'm going to be doing with this guitar yet, when it comes to the design of it. So if anyone has any ideas, please write them down in the comments. Give me an idea of like a theme, whether it be like pirates or Vikings or medieval or I don't know, anything, fish. Give me a theme and I will come up with an amazing artistic playable instrument. And who knows, maybe I will give them away to people who are kind enough to subscribe and like my videos. This is the first one in the series that you're going to see, hopefully. If you do subscribe, then you will see what I turn this into. And then yeah, we can go through the journey together and you can give me your thoughts on what you think we should do with the instrument and see what it looks like when I'm done. But yeah, right, that is our neck away from our body. Guitar is fully broken down, and that will do it for episode 1. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, this is the first one in this series, so please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe down below. Next thing we're going to be doing is completely stripping all the paint off and seeing what we have got underneath. By the looks of it, I think we may be working with a mahogany body, just by looking at the grain of the wood. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see until we strip it all down. But yeah, it looks like a solid body. It's a lovely neck. Nice ebony fretboard. But yeah, like I said, thanks very much for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe so you can follow along with what we do here, or what I do here. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Peace and love.